Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Jaw-Dropping Customer Experience with your MAPS coach, Peter Chabris. Please note this webinar is being recorded and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them in the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching program, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. All right, that's all for me. Go ahead and take it away, Peter.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate it. Hello, Keller Williams family. Hope you are all doing fabulously today. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learn more about customer experience and how it is such a lethal and subtle form of lead generation, frankly, to increase your business the most pleasant way possible, which is through repeat and referral customers. So let's get right into this and see if we can go over a couple points here. Oops, sorry about that. So, a rhetorical question here, what is the cost of a bad sale? Well, we know there's a couple different costs associated with a bad sale. We've all had them in the past. Obviously, we may have to buy ourselves out of a mess. That sometimes happens when you have to contribute some of your commission to make a deal cross the finish line. And then there's also the impact of having negative online reviews. And then there is also what we call the sort of cocktail party effect, where somebody's talking about selling a home and mentions your name, and somebody else who's had a bad experience says, no, don't do that, let me tell you my horror story. All of these are negative consequences to a bad sale, and they really all culminate in the lost opportunity for referrals. And really, referral business is the best kind of business. It's the highest margin because we spend the least amount of money acquiring referral-based business. And it has the lowest competition because, as you know from the statistics, 60 to 70% of consumers only interview one agent when they move to transact, when they transact in real estate. And the largest percentage of the time, 52% with buyers and 60% with sellers, that one interview they do is based on repeat business or they've been referred to that individual. So there's a ton of lost business opportunities or referral opportunities. And it's almost worth asking yourself, okay, well, if referrals are the single largest source of business, what would our business look like if every client we ever worked with referred one sale per year to us? How different and how much bigger and how much more abundant would our lives be with those additional referrals? So let's talk about the business of repeat business and some of the statistics around it. What you see right here in front of you is kind of a visual accounting for all the potential repeat buyers. That is to say, so out of 100 people, up to 100 of them can reuse you the next time they have real estate needs. Now, here's what's interesting. 28% of buyers, depending on what survey you're reading, what year, but of that, for every 100 people that you serve, roughly 28% say they wouldn't use the same agent again. That's about a third. That's an immediate opportunity for us to improve the quality of the customer experience that we're offering our clients because they're choosing not to use us as soon as they close, which means we missed meeting their expectations during the time we served them. We've got a question here. Is this presentation being recorded? Yes, George, this is being recorded if you need to bounce. Okay, so 28% of people said they would not use the same agent again. There's an immediate opportunity to provide better service to earn that future referral. Now, of the 28% that said that, of the 72% that said they would use their agent again, only 24% actually do. So let me break this down a little bit simpler. For every 4 people you work with, statistically, only 3 say they would work with you again, and yet only 1 of them does. Guys, for every 4 people we work with, only 1 of them will actually use us again. That's a travesty. Now that gap, that 51% that said that they would use you and don't, that's our opportunity to convert at a higher level. And it's because of 2 things. The first one is our experience, even though our clients liked it while they were working with us, the experience was not memorable enough for them to remember the experience and want to do it again. And number 2, this is where technology comes to play. And we've got to be living under a rock to not know that technology is absolutely sort of intruding into our industry and is the conversation that leadership around the country, regardless of brokerage, is having right now because of how technology is looking to displace or disrupt is a very popular word, or change the nature of our business model. So I happen to be in Gary's top agent group, and prior to the conversation always being about real estate, Gary and Jay were rerunning MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2, and we talked about the fact that our business model still is about leads, listings, and leverage. That's how we get paid. Getting leads, leads lead to listings, listings are a form of leverage to make best dollar use of our time, and then ultimately systems and people. What's interesting is with the advent of technology and ISAs and all the other things that have happened since the MREA, the original Millionaire Real Estate Agent, was published back in 2005, the only thing, things really haven't changed that much. In fact, Gary said the only difference now is that our industry is kind of under attack, and it's under attack from technology. And so Gary believes that we should build a moat, a wall around our business. And that business is built with three components. The first one is value proposition. If you as an individual agent aren't able to verbalize the value that you provide to someone with a real estate need, you won't earn the business. Oh, and by the way, as an industry, we've collectively been terrible at verbalizing or communicating our value proposition because we're all independent contractors. And so as an industry, we've not been very good at helping consumers, educating consumers in the market in general, understand how much value we create, which is why with Wall Street flush with cash and this country flush with cash, so many investors, so much institutional investment is going into our industry. They don't understand our value, and so they're trying to create alternate business models to displace us. So we need a great value proposition to capture the client. The second component, and this is per Gary, is service. Once we capture the client, we must provide a great experience. We must provide a high quality customer experience, customer service. Providing great service earns us the right to stay in our touch with our database after the closing. And database is where the money is, guys. Service earns the right to stay in relationship with our database after the closing. After all, 52% of all buyers and 60% of all sellers are repeat or referral opportunities. The largest sources of business are all derived from referrals, from your database. So this is basically it. This is the business model that our industry finds ourselves in right now. And when we first started talking about this in Gary's mastermind, we were talking about long-term sustainability of business. Now we're talking about it as kind of the wall that we need to build to make sure that we stay central to the transaction. And to do that, we must be at the front end of the customer's experience. We must be top of mind. And that's done through database, and the database right is earned through quality service. And that's why we're talking about this today. So let's talk about average. Here's average. According to the National Association of Realtors, 21% of an agent's business comes from repeat or referral business. Okay, well, you wouldn't be on this phone call today if you were interested in being average. So let's talk about doubling that and getting to 42% of your business coming from repeat and referral business. Now, if you're on this phone call, I'm willing to guess that you believe pretty strongly in customer experience now, and you probably have an higher than 21% repeat and referral metric. And that's great. That doesn't mean you aren't leaving money on the table if your customer service is all in your head and not systemized. Oh, we've got a question here. Let's make sure we answer it. Oh, you're welcome, George. So the goals of this course, number one, is to create a superior, and this is what's important, repeatable and referable experience for your customers. Repeatable really is the critical component of this. We want to have a system that we know will deliver a quality customer experience every single time so that we consistently yield a higher referral rate from our database. So if you're on that 20% referral rate, my intention is for you to double your repeat and referral rate within 12 months of taking this course. And for those of you that are at a much higher referral rate, and I'm sure there are some of you on this phone call, recognize that as high as it is, unless you're systematically doing the same things and have systems around it, you're still leaving money on the table, and you're also still the only thing driving that experience. And what would happen tomorrow if you got ill and weren't able to have somebody else do some of that work for you? Okay, The third goal of this course is for me to help you improve your business's profitability and sustainability. Okay, why profitability? The reason why profitability is because of all the ways of spending money to generate leads, whether it's internet, whether it's farming, whatever it may be, the single lowest cost, highest return on investment for dollars spent in marketing will always be marketing and communicating to your database. Period, end of story. Sustainability, for those of you who are familiar with the real estate roller coaster, which is you're excited you're having transactions and oh my gosh, you have none, and you scramble to go find some more opportunity, and then you're excited you have transactions and then you have none. That roller coaster is a terrible ride to be on. Sustainability of your business through technological thrift shifts, through market shifts, and through lead generation shifts, a well-oiled database, that machine will crank out opportunities 12 months a year through any kind of season that we may be in, whether it's a technology season, I shouldn't say season, through any kind of market that we're in, whether it's technology assault, whether it is a recession, whether it is a extreme and acute seller's market, doesn't matter. Database will always yield opportunity. And finally, and this for me was an unsuspected surprise that was quite enjoyable, was that it's a lot more pleasant working with people who were referred to you or that have used you in the past. It's just easier client relationships and it's a lot more satisfying. So let's define customer experience, because I want to change anyone's mind right away who thinks that customer experience is rainbows and unicorns and sunshine. It is absolutely a lead generation tool that yields some of the best return on investment for your dollar and energy. So let's take the number of METs in your database and let's divide that number by 10. The reason being is the National Association of Realtors tells us that consumers generally believe they'll be in their home for 10 years. We got another question. So Catherine is asking, what if you're a new agent or newer with 15 transactions, 2 of which were referrals? Yes, absolutely, Catherine. If we have the opportunity to systemize your database and systemize your customer experience now before you get too busy, you'll find that you'll get a higher rate of repeat and referral business faster. Thanks for asking. That's a great question, Catherine. Okay, so we're going to divide the number of METs by 10 because the average consumer says they'll be in a home for 10 years. And then we're going to multiply that number by your average commission. So here's what that looks like. Let's say I have 180 METs in my database. And by the way, a MET, for those of you who aren't sure, is someone that knows you, knows you're in real estate, and would use you or refer you if given the opportunity. So if I have 180 in my database, at 1 out of every 10 selling, since people generally sell every 10 years, that would be 18 sales. Now here in Cincinnati at the Chabris Group, our average commission is $7,500. That's $135,000 in potential gross commission income from my database. So that's what your repeat business should look like when you're creating a great customer experience and continue to follow up after the sale. Now, let's see what happens when we add into that the opportunity for referrals. Well, here's the statistic we know. Everybody on average knows 5 people that move every year. So let's just say you got 1 sale from each person, not 5, but if you just got 1 opportunity from each person in your database. Of the 5 they know that move, you captured 1 of those. Well, that would be a 1 in 5 or 20% ratio. So let's look at this. The same 180 people in the database with a 20% referral times the average commission. Well, look at that, $270,000. Well, $270,000 plus 135 is a $405,000 GCI potential income. By the way, with a database of less than 200 people. The opportunity in these numbers is huge, guys. And that's just at average numbers. So let's talk about what makes a great customer experience. I like to think of it as a 3-layer cake, and there's 3 components here. So the first layer and the most fundamental one is communication. And communication is something that we spend the first 2 sessions of our course on, communication and mindset, that is. Being aware of behavioral differences. We'll go through a bunch of scripts and dialogues over the course of the class to systemize your customer experience and increase your referral rate. And then we're going to talk about some specific communication strategies around setting expectations, the all-important future pacing opportunity that we have with our clients, and also constructive ways to resolve conflict. The second section is the second thing, that second layer of the cake, excuse me, is systems. And so systems are what make our delivery of customer experience consistent and sustainable and referable. So we're going to talk about building systems around from the first time you talk to a client to when you actually meet with them, and then what happens afterwards, as well as a deep dive on what actively serving a client looks like systematically to ensure that you're continuing to deliver customer experience the entire time. And then we'll talk about how we want to systemize the closing of the sale, how we systemize the collection of feedback, and the follow-up that we do during the time that they're working with us. And finally, the plus one. What's the plus one? Okay, customer service is basically great communication and fast problem resolution. Systems makes it scalable into a customer experience. The plus one is what makes it special. What's that thing that we do that our clients aren't expecting that is delightful and memorable, and I might put in parentheses, referable? It's the magic that makes a customer experience, a customer's experience with you memorable, so that we can take that 72% that say they actually use it and keep it at 72% and not 24%. Okay. And then if you're into Jedi level customer experience and lead generation through customer experience, there's Mike's Hicks promise. Now, Mike Hicks, I don't know if you guys know this guy. He was on stage with Gary for several years in a row because of his promise. Now, he's in Idaho Falls, which is a population of 80,000 people. They have a 90% referral rate and do over 400 sales per year. Bear in mind, guys, this is 400 sales in a town of only 80,000 people for well over 80 million in volume. And he does it using the promise. Now, the promise is really nothing more than a system of generating leads through the promise of and delivery of quality customer experience. And so we talk a little bit about how to integrate Mike's techniques into your customer service. Now, here's the great plug. When you register today, I will send you guys a copy of Mike Hicks' script that everybody on his team, him, his salespeople, all of his operations, all of his support staff, everybody knows the script, and they all repeat it and can repeat it verbatim and deliver it to their clients multiple times through the transaction to increase that referral rate. It's really brilliant, and we'll go over that during the program as well. So here's an example of what a system looks like. A system is, now we don't actually use a checklist anymore for the most part, but I keep this to demonstrate what a system looks like. A system is basically a glorified checklist, right? So you can see when we take a listing, this is our post-listing system, you can see from the time our listing specialist takes the listing to the time the listing goes live, all the different steps in there. What I've highlighted here are the 12 communication points that go on from the time they sign the listing contract to the time they go live in the MLS. So you can see systematically they're getting 6 phone calls and 6 emails, excuse me, 7 phone calls, 5 phone calls, no, it's 6. 6 phone calls and 6 emails for different communication points along the way to ensure that they're having a high quality customer experience and to make sure that we set and start delivering on and exceeding those expectations early on in the process, so we start building credibility and start building a great experience with them in the get-go. Now, all of this is well and good. You think you've got good communication skills, you think you've got a good system together, and you think you've got a good way of kind of creating that +1 opportunity. You never know, because we're all operating in vacuums in the absence of feedback, which is why Ken Blanchard says that feedback is a breakfast of champions. It's the most important meal of the day, and without feedback, we don't know if what we're setting out to do, provide a great experience, is working out or not. We want to know specifically where there's gaps in our service, our communication, or our results, so that we can start getting the ultimate result we're looking for, which is better customer relationships, a higher level of profitability, and increase in repeat and referral business. So that's why we collect feedback. So like every other part of the customer experience sort of timeline, we want to systemize how we collect feedback as well. And so this is an example of what a customer feedback survey might look like. And we'll go over this during the program. When do you collect them? What information are you looking for? How do you hold people accountable to quality customer experience and the feedback? We'll go over all that. So why are we doing this? To increase our rate of referrals. Gary tells us, and this is straight from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, staying in relationship with your database is the #1 way to get more business. We work hard to acquire our clients and serve them well during the process. And now we want to focus on retaining them. And that's where that referral opportunity comes in. And so we'll be doing a deep dive on the 36 Connect. Oh, we've got a question. Okay, so Leah is asking an excellent question. She said, this all sounds great, Peter, but just a question. Are those excellent customer service scripts and systems for those of us that have a lot of buyer business? Lee, full transparency, this is probably about 60 to 65% of this program is built around providing a great seller experience. And we do spend time specifically during the program talking about great wins, customer service wins for buyers as well. Okay, so 36 to Connect is also part of one of the changes to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2, where we're replacing the 33 Touch with the 36 to Connect. So the goal still remains the same, which is to have 1 sale for every 6 people in your database. By the way, that winds up being about a 16.5% return on your database, which is phenomenal. We do that with those 36 touches. Now, what's a touch? Emails, calls, mail, items of value, lunch, coffee, postcards, whatever it is. We'll talk about all of those and how to put them together. What's important is that you find what works best for you, and there's one piece that must be there, and that's the database phone calls. It's non-negotiable, and we're going to talk about how to do that during the program. So, you know, marketing and communicating with your database is technically a system of prospecting. It's just the easiest, it's the most enjoyable, and it is actually the highest rate of return. Okay, we got some more questions here. Heidi's asking, can she pay someone to do the entire 36 touch? Heidi, you can pay someone to do all of it except for the phone calls. Sorry. All right, we got a question here. It looks like Ishita has a question. Ishita, do you have a question? You're on live if I can answer it for you.
Oh, I'm good.
You're good. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. So let's keep going. Oh, we got another question. Catherine's saying, what if you're a single agent and not on team? Does this apply? Yes, absolutely, Catherine. A great customer experience should always be systemized. Whether you're an individual agent or whether you're a team of 30 people, you still want to be systematically providing the same experience. So when we do this program, I'll walk you through our 36 to convert. We actually switched it to 45 because I believe more is more. And we wanted to kind of turbocharge our 36 to convert to increase our repeat and referral rate quicker. And so I'll do a deep dive on how we go about doing that. And then we'll talk about the fan club. What's a fan club? A fan club is the idea of creating a sense of exclusivity and value around being part of your database. So we'll talk about ways to create value for your clients and create a sense of exclusivity and membership so that people feel connected with your business and want to see your business be successful. Okay, so been going on for a while now. Let's talk about what this program entails. The whole point of this program is to give you all the tools that you need so that you can build your blueprint, your machine for a highly memorable, and I might insert in there, highly referable customer experience. So what does that look like? First 2 weeks, we're going to start with the basics, and that's cultivating the mindset of a great customer experience. We're going to define what exactly a customer experience is and is not. We're going to talk about communication, skills, standards, techniques, and we're also going to define who in your world is going to be your CEO, your customer experience officer. Someone needs to own that in your business. And if you're independent, you're on your own, that's fine. You find somebody to partner with as almost like an accountability buddy, someone to advocate, for your clients in your business. Then we'll move into the real nuts and bolts, which is systemizing your customer's experience within your operation, within your organization. This is where the heavy lifting is done in our class. And it's really kind of a roll your sleeves up and build out those checklists. The mindset stuff is fun and it's easy. This part is the deep dive. And for those who take the time and invest the time to actually roll out the system, it works really, really well. And you'll have this all done before the beginning of next year. For those of you who are thinking about taking it, your timing for this class is perfect, right? Fourth quarter of the year is kind of when you tweak your business in anticipation of the following year, and the timing is perfect to go through this exercise. So we'll go through systems for before and after the appointment, whether it's buyer consultation or listing, how to work and create a great experience for your active buyers and sellers, the transaction coordination and closing, the operations team. Again, if you're an army of one, there's still some really valuable content in here, and the systematic collection of and action upon feedback. And then the fun stuff. That's where we're going to talk about marketing and communicating with your database, the fan club, and all the referrals, as well as client events and the 36 touch. Heidi is saying, can I purchase this and have a non-licensed individual run and build it? Heidi, absolutely. For those of you who are an agent with an assistant, I would strongly encourage you to both join this because the administrator absolutely wants to be on this call so they can start building this stuff out. And agents, customer service, customer experience is not something you delegate. You have to own it and be invested in it too. So those of you with assistants, I would strongly encourage you to both be on the phone calls and do the materials together. The assistant can do the heavy lifting, the actual implementation, but the producer must be in it, must be aware of it, must be aware of what's going on and invested in it. And for those of you on big teams, I would corral the whole group in. This stuff is priceless and makes such a huge difference. And I'll share you a quick story real quick. In 2015, our team did 191 sales. And we had done 190 the year before. It was the first year we'd ever been flat in our business. So we decided to change our customer experience program, and we decided to change how we communicated with our database. In 2016, guys, we did 256 sales. That was 64 more units, a full 33% increase in our business, which was worth 480,000 more, 16 million more in volume, 480,000 more in GCI. Oh, and by the way, we did it with 2 less salespeople. And it's because the entire team was invested in overhauling our customers' experience and overhauling how we communicate with our database. So please bring everybody in the group. Heidi, die a slow death in implementation. I feel you. Hire someone else to do it. Just do the calls. So here's what you get with this class, guys. You're going to get a great mindset for providing a great customer experience and a really clear idea on how to structure that to make sure you're consistently delivering with a system, a customer experience system. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get everything that we did to have that massive surge in growth of $16 million in volume over 1 year. So David's asking, how many agents did you have the year you did that? David, we had 4 people. We did 256 sales with 4 people, and we were drowning in opportunity. We probably left money on the table because we didn't have enough people to serve all the business. And we knew it was important to overhaul our customers' experience. We knew it was important to do our database properly. We had no idea how much different our business was going to be once we implemented on all this stuff. It's actually kind of funny now that you ask like that. Okay, so customer experience system. Here's everything you get. You're going to get every single one of our checklists that everybody who does anything on our team uses when it surrounds the customer. You'll get all our scripts and all of our dialogues. You'll get all of our emails as well as all of our snail mail templates. Yes, we still do use some snail mail. So Kathy just joined. This is the class. No, Kathy, this is just kind of an overview of what we'll be covering in the class. So don't worry, you haven't missed any content. The actual program starts in 2 weeks. Okay, so all the checklists, all the scripts and dialogues, all the email and all the mail templates, all of our feedback forms, as well as all of our communication and customer service standards, You'll get all of that, so you can just R&D it. That stands off for rip off and duplicate. R&D all of our stuff and implement it in your personal businesses. We'll give you a breakdown of our 44 touch program. How do we go from basically an abysmal repeat and referral rate to that 1 out of 6 referral rate on database? That is to say, for every 100 people in our database, we're seeing 16 closed pieces of business from repeat or referral. I'll share with you how we do our client events, why we do our client events, and what we do. I'll share with you how we build accountability around customer service and customer experience into your business. You'll get the customer experience, the chief experience officer job description, so you can figure out who in your life is going to advocate for your clients and your business. And I'll give you some really high level best practices around quality fiduciary service when you're working with your sellers and buyers in the market. What do you do besides all the default systems? What do you do proactively to provide great service, great experience, and quality representation? We'll also cover that. I'll also give you guys some cheat sheets on how to communicate with people. The whole point is that you guys will, at the end of this program, have created a system and have developed the skills that will enable you to double your referrals over the next 12 months. And that's what really this is about, is providing a great return on your investment. So what's the investment? It's $297. It's an 8-week program. You can register for it here. And I've just been told right before we got on this webinar, and you can see, because I was racing to type this in before the webinar started. The last word on that slide is typed incorrectly. It's not SPPN, it's supposed to be SOON. I was just given the heads up that you guys, just for today, can enjoy a 15% discount for registering on the class. If you go to mapscoaching.kw.com/cx and enter the discount code WEB15, that's WEB15. So I committed to keeping this a half hour or less. It's been 32 minutes. If you guys have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'm looking forward to getting this started with you guys. It starts on October 16th, so it's about 2 weeks from now. George is asking, what's the code? It's WEB15. Yes, sir, George. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. One more question. My pleasure, George. Someone's got their hand up. No, I guess that's it. Okay, guys, if you have questions, give me a shout. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.